Can you give us a brief synopsis of your book?
My book's a memoir. It's my life divided into 5 parts. Growing up in the 50s, Irish Catholic in Denver. Then bouncing for bands and working for rock promoters, doing security for touring bands. Then veterinary stories of my life as a veterinarian. And stand-up comedy, experiences in green rooms and comedy clubs across the United States. And then I think the most important part, at least for me, in almost half the book, is conservation and the work I've done for the Denver Zoo with the Arctic and Antarctic, working with polar bears and penguins, the work in Mongolia with endangered species, my work with the rattlesnakes and radio transmitters. And I think in view of what's happening now with the 6th extinction happening, this could be the most important part of the book.
What inspired you to write this book?
People have always told me, man, you've had a charmed life, and you should write a book. People have always said, you have a book in you. And then the pandemic hit. During COVID, the world closed down. There were no comedy clubs, there weren't movies, there were no restaurants. At work, we had to see dogs out in the cars. So the work shut down, and all of a sudden, people had all this time. And so it gave me the time to use 2 years to spend putting the book together.
How long did it take you to write this memoir?
Well, the memoir is a different animal. You think that things that happen in your life, they're always interesting to the person that it happened to. It's always interesting to them. But is it interesting to an audience of strangers? Can you make the chapters, can you make the different stories stand out and make it interesting? And so it took 2 years. It took every bit of 2 years to mold it and tear it up and edit it and self-edit and have other people look at it and get other sets of eyes to help. And so it took 2 years.
You've had a very long and diverse career. What was it like to reflect on your life?
Well, I think to reflect on my life, it was one of gratitude and to be so grateful. When I look back at all the different parts of my life, I realized that I had guides and mentors at each step, wonderful teachers, showing me the way and showing me a path to take. So no one does it by themselves, and so putting my story together made me realize how lucky I was for the people I've met along the way.
What do you hope readers walk away after reading your book?
Well, I hope for someone reading my book, they would realize that our lives aren't one-dimensional. We are locked into some indentured path that we have to take to some predestined type of existence. And I think I would like people to realize that we have to be fearless, and you can't win if you don't play. And we have to get up off the couch and get in there. If you're going to be a good drummer, you got to drum a little every day if you want to do things. Young kids ask me, I want to do what you do. I want to do what you do. And I said, but do you want to do what I did? And so I think that for someone to read my book, I hope they'd come away thinking, I can do different things. I can try different things, and who knows? Who knows what life will bring and what types of experiences they'll have as a result. We have to. I think it would be that we have to be fearless.
What are a couple of books you've read recently that you really loved?
Oh, David Grand, who wrote Killers of the Flower Moon, wrote a book about a shipwreck called The Wager that you can't put down. And then another great book would be Grail Marcus, who wrote What Nails It, about writing and what it takes to. Those I like that. I like E.O. Wilson and natural history books, And he's written so many things, the Half Earth, or the story of the ants. So I think reading about natural history has always been interesting to me too.
Is there anything else you want us to know about your book?
Well, I think the conservation part is so important. There's 10 million other forms of life on the planet besides us. And we were given this wonderful biodiversity in our intellect, and all the other animals are waiting for us to use our intellect and save the place. I think the challenge of the next generation is going to be, how do we continue to improve the standard of living without wrecking the planet? How can we make it better? And I think that I'm optimistic about it. I think people will rise to the occasion, and I think we were given all this wonderful world, and it's up to us, and it's like a minute to midnight, but there's still time to do something.
Can you read us a short passage from your book?
Well, I'll read you a passage from my book, but first I'd like to thank the Boulder Bookstore for the opportunity to talk about my book. It started with a turtle. And I hope that anyone that reads my book, or anyone on the planet, would someday get to see the northern lights. So here's a short passage. One night, walking back from the only tavern with two other veterinarians and John, our Inuit driver, I learned the truth about the colors of the Arctic. During my 7 previous visits, I longed to see the northern lights, the aurora borealis, always be denied by dense clouds or foul weather. This evening, our native friend scoped the night sky and deemed it clear and favorable. He said if we walked to the edge of town, away from the lights of the buildings, and waited a while, he was fairly certain we'd be able to see the living northern night sky. We walked through the brisk night to the sound of our boots crunching the frozen snow. Finally, we hunkered down in the dusk between a large snowbank and some big trucks at our backs that shielded us from the lights of the town. It got dark, and our dark and wintry blind gave us a nearly perfect vantage of the entire sky from horizon to horizon, away from the buildings. The sky was a black curtain with a splash of incandescent stars. It was quiet and still and bitter cold, and although it was exciting, I thought it was going to turn out to be yet another night when I'd failed to see this wonder in nature. Suddenly, the sky over the snowbank began to glow, and the black curtain was replaced by a blanket shaped of green-bluish light from a distant skyline to straight above us. Embedded in the blanket were moving and bizarre dark patches. These were clouds in silhouette floating over the glowing green. Truly a glowing green, like seen only in old science fiction movies. The blanket moved and changed shape rapidly, and with it the color it showed. Sometimes it was greenish blue, sometimes almost white, but always the hint of green. It rippled like a curtain, and its shape and colors receded and expanded constantly. The main impression it gave was of constant change and tremendous size. To the west, the sky was a vast crescent of rippling, shimmering, shooting colors. It resembled nothing so much as wavering streamers with no shape or color, staying very long, but constantly changing. Waves of light passed over sheets of light, almost there was a script to the show, like a fireworks display on the 4th of July. The effect was stunning, leaving all three of us speechless, no longer cold, but filled with a new energy and invigorated. I looked up so long my neck ached, but I wished it would never end. Just when I thought I'd witnessed the most awesome display, another one followed, dwarfing the earlier moment by a whole order of magnitude. Although the effect was brilliant, both clouds and stars still could be made through the flashes of color. Greens pervaded, but there were also blues, bright whites, flashes of orange, and rows and tongues of rich crimson, hints of red, then flashes of red, then splashes of red could be seen in subtle undertones. It was magic, and as close as nature comes to witchcraft. We whooped out loud, we laughed, we hugged each other as the vastness stretching above us shimmered with sky banners of white and blue and rippling flags of green. Then suddenly, as quick as it had started, it was gone, with nothing left but the dark sky and the cold more intense. Clearly, we'd all shared something unique, special, and magical. Time eluded us. I couldn't have told you how long the entrancing spectacle lasted. I turned to our Inuit companion and I asked what he thought caused the display we'd witnessed. I was fully prepared to explain the solar wind, magnetic fields, ice crystals, and bending light responsible for the dramatic apparition. His answer was not what I had expected. The lights are made by the finger of God, tracing on the other side of the sky. His reply trumped my stark science. Who was I to doubt that? His answer pretty much said it all, and it didn't need further input from me. We walked back to our rooms, quiet except for our thoughts, moved by what we had seen.